Posada. I am the vice chair of the CFL for Minnesota Native Peoples Caucus. And I was asked to speak today.
Hey, thanks for joining us. This is Lorenzo with Unicorn Riot. We are live here along the shores of Lake Superior for a gathering of folks who are opposed to the Line 3 tar sands oil pipeline. Right now we're listening to some speakers right along the shore. You can see the lake behind them, and here we go. We're going to go ahead and just bring this to you live. Thanks for joining us. I'll be checking in a few times to remind us where we're at.
Do something about this. Yes, we can be here. We can stand here. But how can we make this work? How can we show an effect? How can we make changes? And the very first thing is to register to vote.
The coalition of groups here are sort of like big green NGO groups have organized this event, like for 50.org, the Sierra Club, just to let people know that there's an opposition to the Line 3 oil pipeline.
Why were we not counted as well as we should have been in the last census? Because it's important that we are represented. So as much as people don't want to register, I urge you to, because that's the momentum that we need. That's the momentum our people need. The people need to get out there, to use our voice, to use that right to vote, and to show that we do need more representation in greater Minnesota, because we don't have the delegates that we need that show the proper count of the Native peoples, of all the peoples of greater Minnesota. So get out there, get registered, talk to the people for the 2020 census. You can actually join up if you want to be part of the 2020 census and make that difference. So I also urge you to reach out to me, Luisa Posada, on Facebook, and reach out to the Native Peoples Caucus. It would be Minnesota GFL Native Peoples Caucus on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We need your help. We need your help. We need this wave. We need that strength from you so that we can make this change. So that's what I have to say. It's really important. People are like, okay, well, why do you want to be here? And one of the things that I talked about earlier with somebody was, I was over on Superior Street when they had the street dug out, when they had that big pipe in the ground, and I looked down at it, and I don't know how many people walked past there at that time, but that hit me. That was humongous. It was like a blow to my chest. It reverberated all the way out into the water. This is now. We are here. It's not in another state. It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. It's now. It's here. It's in these waters. It's waiting. It's not if, it's when. And if we don't stand up and say no, if we don't say gawin, then we're saying, okay, we got money for that. We got money tucked aside to handle that when that happens. No, we don't. No, we don't, because there's not enough money to give us back what we already have. We need to say no. We need to be active, be that wave.
As a newly appointed member of the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Task Force, I am so honored to introduce our next speaker. Tasha Martineau is an Indigenous water protector, a Gichi-gami Scout leader, a Fond du Lac member, and she will be addressing our missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls.
My name is Tasha Martineau. I'm from the Fond du Lac Reservation, and the reason I'm opposed to Line 3 is because when these pipelines come through, the statistics that we as Indigenous women face increase by 22%. Before that increase, 1 in 3 Indigenous women are raped before the age of 15. That's 1 in 3. 70% of these offenders are non-Indigenous abusers. I'm a mother, I have 3 children, so this is a fear that I face every day when I wake up and I see these white trucks driving on my land. I ask myself, which one? That's a fear that Indigenous mothers everywhere face when these companies come through our communities. And so, for a long time, I felt really alone, every day waking up with this fear. And seeing this many people here today is just really humbling. And I'm really grateful for every single person standing here today. So with that, I just want everyone to give themselves a round of applause for coming out here today and taking a stand. Every day, there's a new name added to the list of missing murdered Indigenous women and relatives. In Minnesota alone, there are so many names. When I first started, there was about 5 that I knew of. But every day that list grew longer and longer. And so I heard that there were bills and stuff being passed at a legislative level. Unfortunately, I don't have the education to bring myself to that level and get involved at that level. So with that, I want to thank everyone on the MMIW task force and the people who do know how to get that stuff done for the work that they do. Women like Sheila Lamb, women like Misty Babineau, women like Marcia Keto, all of these brave women who have paved the path for young women like me to take a stand and say no more. And so, with the ongoing issue of our missing and murdered being an everyday occurrence in the lives of Indigenous mothers and fathers everywhere, I decided to take a stand. And what I want to ask everyone here to do is to support that. Like, when it comes to direct action, we need to be supportive of Indigenous communities. As Indigenous people, they have the inherent right to protect their land, their women, and their water by any means necessary. As a mother myself, this is something that I worry about every day. Doing this work, I've met so many families who have lost someone far too young in so many different circumstances. We've been involved in so many searches, we've been involved in so many courtrooms where all of these people are hurting. And so when you lay out your tobacco in the morning, I want you to remember those families. I want you to remember our missing and our murdered and say their names as often as you can. Mato Dow, Jeremy Jourdain, Penny Robertson. There are so many names, and every day that list grows longer. But you can be the one to stand up within your own community and say no to this epidemic. And all we need for you is your support. In the spirit of supporting direct action, it's my great honor to introduce my good friend, Michelle Obed.
Hello, my name is Michelle Nar Obed, and it's really a privilege to be part of this struggle with so many people here. I'm one of the 4 necessity valve turners. So, the time is now for unprecedented and urgent action. This was the message from the world's leading climate scientists delivered to the UN in the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change almost 1 year ago. 4 months after that came out, on February 4th, 2019, we, the 4 necessity valve turners, there's only one of us here today, the others they're farmers down in Wisconsin and they couldn't make it up. We carried that message on our banner, into the Blackberries valve site in Grand Rapids, Minnesota, for Enbridge's tar sands oil pipelines 3 and 4. At that point, we were 4 months into a 12-year deadline to reduce carbon dioxide emissions to keep global warming temperatures from raising any more than 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius. We hung up our banner and we proceeded to the block valve for line 4 and then called the Enbridge officials to tell them of our intention, which is to put a halt to the destruction of our environment by turning off the valve so that tar sands poisonous oil would no longer flow through our Mother Earth beyond this point. The poison stops here. We encourage them to turn it off themselves from their remote control headquarters, since they could do that in the safest manner possible. Then we hung up our sacred objects and we prayed. We prayed really hard to the ancestors, to the angels, and to the saints to move the Enbridge employees to do the right thing. Shut it down and keep it off. Within minutes, we heard the valve turn and the poisonous flow stopped. And we gave thanks for that reprieve. When I'm around my friends, my indigenous friends, I'm reminded that this Mother Earth really is my mother. And this water really is my relative. And all of these creatures are my brothers and sisters. I'm reminded of that. That water is not just a resource, that this land is not just here for us to build on or to make money off of. And so it was, I could see this oil going through my mother, through her veins, and somebody had to stop it. And even if it was just for a minute, that poison was turned off. So then we waited, and we waited for them to come so that we can impress upon them the necessity of our action. And we were not surprised that the police arrived on their orders to arrest us. After 2 days in jail, we were informed that Enbridge had ordered that we be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. We were charged with 2 counts, one a misdemeanor and one a felony. In the meantime, right after we did this action, went over the news on NPR, and many other places picked it up. We were actually live streaming it too, so we were sending it out there the best that we could. And we heard that our necessity action had reached Governor Walz, who just at that time had to make this decision to continue with the Department of Commerce's appeal to revoke the certificate of need that was issued by the Public Utilities Commission for the Line 3 expansion project. And the oil companies were putting a lot of pressure on Governor Walz to stop the appeal. But thanks to many voices raised, many voices raised, including ours, and including the voices of the angels and the saints and the ancestors, because I know they were there, they carried that message to Governor Walz, and then he decided to allow the appeal to continue. He said, "You may have a state permit, but you need a social permit as well. And you don't have the people of Minnesota's permission. The appeal stays." I thought that was pretty good. Meanwhile, hoping against hope that the Itasca County Court would grant us the necessity defense, where expert witnesses would be able to testify to the urgency and to the salvation of our planet, to put a halt to the production and transport of yet more deadly fossil fuel. We are sad to say that we lost that argument. There will be no expert witnesses. There will be no necessity defense in the Itasca County courtroom. However, neither the testimony or necessity defense will be silenced. We, the 4 necessity valve turners, expect to get our trial date next week. We expect that it will be sometime in November. We will still face the misdemeanor and the felony count, and we will use our voices, and we will call the ancestors and the angels and saints to be in the courtroom with us. And along with you, along with the conscience of the people of goodwill, that's all of you, we can turn this ship around. We will not be silenced. and we will end this madness once and for all. We have a Facebook page called For Necessity. That's F-O-U-R, as in four of us. For Necessity. We'll be posting our trial date on there when we get it, which should be very soon. And we hope that many of you will be able to come and be there in support and be there to show that we are standing in unity and that we will not let this happen and we will not be silenced. Thank you all for being part of this struggle, and may we continue and not get tired. It's my privilege now to introduce Ben, who will tell us about some of the struggles of having land, being a landowner on the Line 3 corridor.
Hey guys, thanks for coming out. Beautiful day. The reason I'm here is I made the stupid decision to try and see what Enbridge was as a company, see if I can work with them. That didn't work out, and now I'm here. So good job, Enbridge. I live along the Line 3 pipeline route. I'm going to try and share as many facts with you as I can to help educate you and help you educate others. Basically, what happened is when the Fond du Lac Reservation said, "Hey, you know, we'll let it go through," they changed the route. When that happened, there was no notification. There was nothing in the news. And me and my wife had kept our ears to the ground, read the newspapers, and we had heard about Sandpiper. And then all of a sudden we hear about this Line 3 replacement. And I want everybody out there to understand this. This is a brand new pipe. They are not replacing any old Line 3. This is literally Sandpiper. They just changed the name and said, "Oh, well, how can you be against replacing a leaky pipeline?" Well, no, just end it. Just shut it down, and that's the end. So because we weren't allowed to have township meetings and allow our voice be heard, well, we got a part of the appeals process now. I have an attorney. And I've been trying to get the DNR and the MPCU and everybody to understand that when you have a pipeline going through a designated trout stream on an aquatic management area that is state land, and I can't even drive an ATV on it, well, there's something wrong with that when they want to just come in and put another one in. So I'm here today to push back at Enbridge to make all you guys aware that, just volunteer with the Sahara Club, Minnesota 350, get out there, help others, educate others. There are no jobs here, guys. In sworn testimony have said only zero long-term jobs might be made with this pipeline. They don't even give accurate information on what local job creation will be. The Line 13 on Line 67, that was Alberta Clipper. That went in 2009. Okay, they've already admitted in a shareholder meeting in March that they can reverse the flow of Line 13, the diluent pipe. Now, diluent is paint thinner. I mean, that's basically what it is. That's running through the pipe, through our streams, through the reservations, through the lakes, and they can reverse that and get 150,000 more barrels per day. They can upgrade pumps. They have other things they can do to get more oil if it's a necessity. So why are they so hell-bent on getting a new pipe? Because it's cheaper. It will save them money. That's all this is about, is money. So I'm here today to announce to the Governor Walz, to the Governor Evers in Wisconsin, because now you got Bad River involved, you got the town of Mellon and others pushing back. What's the end game? Well, what's going to happen? You can try and throw legislation at us to stop protesting. Well, that's protesting on their land. Well, technically my easement. That's my land. I should be able to hunt on that. And they're trying to say I can't even walk on it now. So guess what that means? We all go to the streets. We shut it down. We shut it down everywhere. We shut down the cities. We stop it all over the place to them to understand that climate change is real. When the ice on the lakes here form later and later, when Christmas here in Bentleyville, no snow. It's happening, it's all around us. And I just want my voice to be heard, to support others here, to give you guys some facts, and just do your research, let others know what's really going on. This is a brand new pipe they want. They are intimidating and harassing other landowners. I've spoken with these people personally. Some of them are afraid, some of them are holding out and waiting. They're waiting to see what I would do, what you guys will do to help them fight this pipeline. So I thank you guys for all coming out, and I'm here to introduce Liz Jacala next, and she'll tell you guys a little bit more on the Line 3 and why she wants to stop it. So thanks for coming out, everybody.
We're from Fond du Lac Reservation. My English name is Liz Jacala, and I'm here with a couple of my children. We were talking about what we were going to do when we got here, and there's a lot of things that we talked about. The role of women in Anishinaabe culture is to carry the water. And that's not only in Anishinaabe culture, but cultures around the world. By nature, we carry the water when we carry the children. And men carry the fire oftentimes. So right before we sang, my son held the fire to smudge us so that we could do our best. Tobacco is offered to us. We put that tobacco in the water. Many of the traditions of Anishinaabe people are common with traditions of indigenous people across the land, across the world, because those are the initial instructions on how to take care of this place, on how to acknowledge our relationship to Mother Earth. And there are people in every community who hold on to these original instructions and continue to try to follow those teachings and those instructions. We do so best when we do so with an open heart and a kind spirit, when we are sharing respect and love with each other. So I need to make sure and acknowledge the water ceremony that began the day with Babette and the women, the pipe ceremony that you saw here with Skip, all of the people who have been speaking and doing so with a kind and open heart. Because that, relatives, is what is going to win this battle. When we work together in this way, nothing can stop us. History has shown us this time and time again. When we work together, taking care of each other, taking care of the land, there's nothing that can stand in our way. So, Bida Benokwe is going to sing a song that was taught to us from Doreen Day, a grandmother in the Three Fires Lodge. When her grandson said to her, "Grandma, don't you think that the water would like us to sing these songs, sing these words? Water, we love you. Water, we thank you. Water, we respect you." Jagger's been singing this song since before she was born. She was with me when we were with Idle No More in the state capitol, and the security guard tried to take my drumstick. She was in the front pack. Jagger's been fighting this pipeline since before she was born. Our relatives at Fond du Lac have been fighting since before many of us were born. It's time. It's time that we stop it. If you know this song, please sing along, because she's a little shy, she said.
Give me
Tanigana.
I would like to welcome David Joe Bates with the Anishinaabe Environmental Protection Alliance.
Hey, bonjour. Good thing to be here. Glad I could make it. Great turnout. I'd just like to say I'm a Bad River elder. I'm a hunter, fisher, gatherer, and also a big spearfishing activist. Along with that, what we have now is we have an aging pipeline over on the Bad River Reservation. Line 5 is now endangering our livelihood. There's a crossing at the Bad River that we call the Bad River Meander. This meander is forming an oxbow. If you don't know what an oxbow is, it's an old river channel where the river itself is cutting the bank out, cutting the earth away, and forming a new channel. This line 5 lies directly in that meander. At one time, this was over 100 feet from the riverbank. Today, it's less than 28 feet. And it's encroaching every single day that we have a high water event. We have 30, 40-foot logs that are coming down the river and impaling right into that bank. This right here is a disaster waiting to happen. It will pollute the water, the Bad River watershed, all the way out into our rice fields in the Civic River. It's the largest wild rice fields in North America. And it's also where part of our migration story comes from. We were told to go until we find the food that grows on the water. And we found the Bad River sloughs and the phenomenal rice beds. Historically, this wild berry fed us and gave us our subsistence to get us through the long, cold winters, where we would also have our deer meat and other various animals that we gathered for subsistence. This line directly affects that wild rice. It affects all of the animals that drink water from the Bad River, from the Civic River, all of the wildlife that lives in the woods, the fish that we harvest that provides us our subsistence. This Bad River is our history. And now that is being threatened by Enbridge's Line 5. Built in 1953, it is now 66 years old. That's 16 years beyond its life expectancy of 50 years. Now, back in July, the Bad River Tribe filed a lawsuit against Enbridge to stop and remove that Line 5. Since then, we have also found another area that threatens the Bad River community, and that is what we call Slope 18. Slope 18 is a tributary that feeds directly into Denemy Creek. Denemy Creek is less than a quarter mile from my home. It crosses the highway, and that goes directly into the Bad River sloughs. It's the big slough on the Bad River, and there again we have fields of wild rice, that good berry, that provides us with subsistence for us to exist. We must do what we can to stop this Line 5. This Enbridge, we know they lie. Look what they did in Kalamazoo, Michigan. 2010. The largest oil spill in North America. Kalamazoo, their own equipment couldn't pick up the leak. It was passerbys that found it. And what they've done to the community there, the deaths, the cancer rates, the illnesses. And this is all coming to us also, should we not get that Line 5 out of the watershed. And currently, Enbridge is buying up land as fast as they can along a proposed reroute. And in 2015, they worked with Scott Walker, the former governor, and they eased or made it easier for Enbridge to use eminent domain to secure your property, whether you like it or not. And right now, they're buying up all these parcels, and I'm afraid not only am I, but our area residents are afraid Enbridge is going to come in, they're going to grab specific little sites, and then if you lie in the way, they can use eminent domain to take your land. We can't have this Line 5 in the watershed. We want it gone, we want it out, and today is not quick enough. I just want to... We have people, myself included, that will lie down and give our lives to save what we have in Bad River. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Our youth have been showing us in the past week that they have learned how to use their voices. They are loud and they are proud. I would like to take this time to introduce Izzy, Friends of the Climate and Youth Climate Strike Leader. Please give her a warm welcome.
First, I really want to thank Honor the Earth for asking me to speak here today. Honor the Earth is a fantastic organization doing extremely important work. I want to acknowledge that while I am here speaking on behalf of my generation and the future, I am speaking from a place of privilege. The First Nation people have given their lives to this movement, and that should forever be remembered and honored. The world thanks you for your courage and dedication. My name is Izzy Latterman. I am 16 years old. This is my future at stake. The future of my generation. When this pipeline spills, when the nasty oil it carries is used to pollute the air and the earth even more, my generation will have to deal with it for the rest of our lives. Scientists tell us we have 10 years left until the climate crisis becomes irreversible. I'll be 26. At 26, I should be thinking about long-term jobs and the possibility of marriage, not the end of the world as we know it. There are so many things we can do as individuals to try and help stop the climate crisis. But in order for real change, in order for the world to survive, the system as a whole needs to change. Saying no to fossil fuels, that means demanding renewables. Even if a certain president pulled us out of the Paris Climate Accords, the world in our country still acknowledges that the climate crisis is happening. And instead of making the big changes to try and stop it, they want to build another pipeline. We need to be getting rid of our reliance on oil, on fossil fuels, not adding another pipeline to drag us down further and further. This pipeline is the equivalent of 50 coal plants, 5 coal plants for each of the years we have left, I guess. What's frustrating is the technology is there. We have all the technology to completely replace fossil fuels with renewables, but the politicians who can do that have their pockets lined with oil dollars. And it makes me furious, because in order to make an extra dollar, they steal my future, my generation's future, and the lives of countless people. Other speakers here have the science and the numbers, and I'm sure with a quick Ecosia search, I could have more numbers too. But I am not a professional. The farthest I've gone is chemistry class, and I'm only on week 3. But what I do understand in my teenage brain is that no way in hell is adding more oil, more fossil fuels going to help the earth. All it's going to do is give money to the people who won't have to live long enough to see what they are doing to my generation. Money is useless when there's no clean water left. When the air is so thick with carbon dioxide, you can't get a fresh whiff of oxygen from a dollar bill. So why in hell do these people value a piece of paper over the lives of everyone on Earth? Why is a piece of paper more valuable than the Earth itself? I'm assuming that most of us here know it's not. But there are people that don't know that, so I'm hoping they'll hear me somehow. My life is more important than an oil pipeline. The lives of all the indigenous peoples are more important than an oil pipeline. The future is more important than a freaking oil pipeline. 10 years left before the climate crisis is irreversible. 10 years. Like I said, we should be getting rid of the oil lines we have and replacing them with renewables, not building another. 10 years is not long. They don't have time to sit around and wait, hoping the oil pipeline doesn't spill, hoping the carbon dioxide won't kill all of us. They need to stop it now, because now is the most important. What we do now affects everything in the future. It makes me sad that these adults don't seem to care about my future and the future. It makes me sad that these adults are so stuck in the toxic tradition of the fossil fuels, they can't see who they are destroying. But I am going to use my sad and turn it into mad, because I am so freaking mad. I am mad that I have to be here right now yelling at Enbridge and the government, hoping they're listening to me. And if they are, I am asking, no, demanding that you think about what you are doing. Think about what you are doing to your kids, to the First Nation people, to my generation, and to the entire freaking world. My demand is this. Please stop. Realize what you are doing and stop. You have my future in your hands, and I am begging you to let me have it. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us again. We're along Lake Superior in Duluth,
Well, if that's not
Minnesota.
enough to get us energized today, I don't know what would be. Let's give Izzy another round of applause.
And you're joining us live here in Duluth, Minnesota, for this gathering of folks.
So, ladies and gentlemen, our day is going to continue. We have a lot of great things coming up. But right now, I would like to ask the families that we are here to uplift and support today that have been affected by MMIW and violence against our women and children to please make your way over here by the blue banners. You will be at the head of our march today. We will honor you. We will protect you, and we will hold you when you can't hold yourself. We are here for you. I would like to thank all of our speakers. The wealth of information that we've been given today is tremendous. And our youth, a landowner, our indigenous representatives, and those speaking for those who are no longer with us. I would like to thank our drums for honoring us with your presence today, for giving us the gift of our mother, of our heartbeat. I would like to extend a miigwech to our elders who are here today, guiding us, holding us up, and teaching us. I would like to say thank you to our many, many volunteers. I know my organization I'm with, Min 350, Sierra Club, and so many others cannot do what we do without your support. So please give yourselves a big round of applause for standing up and speaking out. And I would like to say a very special thank to our families, those that stand with people like us to do this work, but to the families that have come to share their story of their loved ones. Miigwech for being here. In just a few moments, we're going to line everyone up right over here that would like to join in the march. We're going to have a lot of activities, which I'll talk about in just a few minutes. But for now, I would like to have Babette Sandman speak again to explain the importance of red shawls, supporting these families, and round dance. Miigwech.
They told me to bring my harmonicas today, so they're all here. You know, you gotta listen. If they tell you something, do it. You know? I just had this thought, and I don't know if anybody's done this, but if we did statistics on these pipelines and the violence towards women, and the more we escalate to fight these pipelines, it seems like the violence is escalating at the same time. And I'm just really feeling right now the connection with what happens to our mother, what happens to our water is happening to us. So please, protect us. Where's our warriors in the group? Where's our warriors? Because you know what? There we go. We got some warriors, and women are warriors. But we really need to bring back our warriors. And we can't have people just standing there watching what's happening in these streets, and that's what's happening, is people are just watching. Where's our warriors? We have got to activate our warriors. If we need to do a ceremony for you, feed you deer meat, whatever we need to do, we need to get you activated and start protecting our women and our boys and our children and our families. We shouldn't have to be having this march, but for missing and murdered. And I want to say to, you know, those prosecutors out there, if you can't prosecute and investigate a crime, then get out and get some people in there that can actually do it. I'm so tired of that. They don't know who did it. Yeah, they do. You know, it's hard to be a victim of a crime. I know. I've just recently have my daughter who's a victim of a crime, and the person is just running around who did that. That's what we have to live with. The red shawls. It's a beautiful thing when we come together and we put red shawls on people who are trying to survive the violence. Thank you, warriors, for standing with me. I can feel you. Is there any more warriors? We have to activate our warriors. The red shawls. When you put on a red shawl, you can feel the protection of walking in a red shawl. And you can feel all the people walking with you who honor you as a survivor and know what you've been through and embrace you and love you. We've got more warriors walking up. So when you see the red shawls, be very respectful and honoring of the people who are going to be wearing them today. They've been through a lot and they need you. Believe it. We need you. We need you to love us, embrace us, help us, support us. But I'm going to come back to those warriors. Where are you? Where are you on these streets? We have got to start. Everything else we're doing to protect the water, we need to start some people on the streets again. Where's AIM? You know? We're going to be having the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Peoples Rally and walking in the march, and also going around the drum to have some special songs when we come back of healing songs, honor songs, We're also going to have the teepee that's set up over there. You can see it from here. This is very emotional, so for anybody who's feeling great emotion for what you've been through and are not saying anything, we're going to have that healing place for you to come into the teepee. And like Sheila was saying, we're going to take good care of you. We're going to take good care of each other. But warriors, please stand up. I just can't, I got to keep coming back to that. We got to stop this. Our women and children, our families suffering, missing and murdered. We got to find them. We need people to start defending us and protecting us. So that's what's going on. I want to tell you something about the march. This has been coming to me over and over again. I remember, you got to listen, right? The message that I want to tell you when you go on this march is to be like water. Be like water. Really connect with her, but connect your water to her water. And walk like water together. One lake, one ocean, one river, however you want to see it. This is Gichi-gami here. Walk like water. Look at her and be like her. She's a good role model. Walk together like water. Miigwech.
Again, thanks for joining us. We're here along the shores of Gichi-gami, also known as Lake Superior here in the
once I
United
finish
States.
these announcements, I'm going to encourage anyone that would like to go on the march to gather this way. After the march, right down at the water, we're going to gather for a photo, and then we will be coming back here for a round dance for the families and those MMIW women, men, and children that we've lost. Also, I encourage you to stick around for some delicious food. We're going to do our best to feed everyone, have a feast for you. There are family games, art, and again, that free food and some good music coming your way too. So the north end of the park down the big ramp to the right of me is where we're going to gather.
Right.
There are pieces of art that are laying out. You are more than welcome to gather them and carry them during the march. And again, the families and red shawls will lead the way. Please hold that protective, loving space for them. And we'll see you when the march is done, and we'll get back and have some fun.
All right, everybody, just joining us. We're here along the shores of Lake Superior in Duluth, Minnesota. And it looks like there's about to be a march. Again, these are a bunch of folks that have gathered to be who are in opposition of the Line 3 tar sands oil pipeline here. So there's all these folks who wanted to come together and let their opposition be heard. Again, it's kind of a day after this week of climate action is going on worldwide, but it's just kind of continuing. And there's all of these. Trying to decide what to do. Hello. What's this? You want to talk about it at all?
Do you want to talk about it? It's all you. Okay.
Oh, someone's. I'm just gonna give someone. Okay.
Yes, it's me.
All right. What? I'm just walking around. I see it says there's a petition. Stop the pipeline.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Hi, my name is Andrea Chu. I'm with should I hold this or do you want to? Okay. I'm with Food and Water Action, and we have a lot of petitions here. We're trying to ask our elected officials here in Minnesota to stop Line 3. We also have a petition here to support a Green New Deal that is going to move us 100% off fossil fuels by 2035. We don't have much time, so we have to start now. And we're about to join everybody in the march, and we really want everyone to know that we want to stop Line 3. So, yeah.
All right, cool. All right, let's go in through, find out about these tables. Thank you. All right, so I think the march is, I guess, start. So I probably will go that way to the march. That's what everyone's going to want. When I come back, I'm going to do my best to go through all of these tables. There's a bunch. You can see everyone's getting their banners up to the front. Again, if you're just joining us, you're watching this on Unicorn Ride. I am Lorenzo, your current host. I'm out here on my own a little bit, so things are going to be a little wobbly. I apologize for that. But we'll do our best. Here's a bunch of folks walking up to the march. Hello. Again, if you've been following our coverage, we've been around Minnesota a lot of different actions. There's already been a series of just direct actions and disruptions around this pipeline construction already, including the sort of lockdowns at different, like vehicle lockdowns at construction sites. Again, this pipeline hasn't been built through Minnesota, but it has been completed in Wisconsin. There's a small portion there that leads to, I think it was a refinery, Wisconsin, and then also the Canadian portion of this pipeline is done. The only portion that isn't completed is Minnesota, where they've continually run into opposition not only from protesters, but also in the courts. Recently, they were denied a water permit that they're going to continue to try to get. Again, all of these things are very common, and they kind of back and forth as pipelines are trying to be put in the ground. There's all these different checks they're supposed to hit. This pipeline, again, the proponents have argued they've hit those checks. The opponents have argued they have not hit those checks and do not want the pipeline. Again, you heard the youth speakers say they didn't want the pipeline because the future kind of depends on reducing sort of the amount of fossil fuel infrastructure and use that the whole population of the world's doing. Pretty big thing. A lot of people are not interested in reducing their carbon footprint or putting any sort of institution or process in place to reduce it in any way. And other people are. And so these are the folks who are. Don't want the pipeline, don't want new fossil fuel infrastructure in Minnesota, known as the Landowner Lakes. This is Lake Superior. Get you. Political. I don't want to mispronounce it. Give me a second here. Anyways, but also, if I remember correctly, Lake Superior is warming as well. So as all the water is warming in the world, as climate is warming, Lake Superior is also warming. One of the fastest warming lakes in the world, causing a massive, more massive algae blooms, because they've always been massive. The algae blooms are being caused. The water warms along the shores of Lake Superior. You can look it up. Pretty fun stuff. So we're here. These folks are interested in defending or protecting this waterway, along with waterways in Minnesota. We're going to walk in this march to show you sort of what it looks like. And you can see all the people who are here. Again, lots of different flavors of actions and so on going forth. We were just in Washington, D.C., where you saw people taking direct action to disrupt the capital of the nation, to get people to do something about climate change, to address climate change, to get makers to start taking it seriously. We also followed a youth climate march there as well, where thousands of youth took off school. Some of them were allowed to leave, other ones left. We spoke to one student who said that there was the door person was yelling at them that they were going to get an absence, that they didn't come back, and they just sort of dashed out. And so, yeah, so that was DC. Also, all the other students were saying they're in support of students skipping, really upset at administrations who would give them absences for cutting classes when, and we have, again, these are all quotes, so if you go through our coverage, you can see where I'm pulling this information from. There's actually a video of them kind of pulling from, saying that, they're skipping one day of school in hopes of being able to, have a future, and also saying that if, there's no point to their education if they're just going to die in the future because the climate's going to be so untenable. Again, these are just direct quotes. Again, you can go to our coverage, unicornriot.ninja, look through all the posts we have there of the different climate strike actions. We also had some actions in Boston. Some actions in Boston. I think we have some coverage we're hoping to do in Denver as well, and different points. So if you look through our coverage at unicornriot.ninja, you'll see we have a lot going on there of different climate actions. Again, we just got back from D.C. Started with the youth climate strike there, where thousands went to the Capitol steps, demanding Congress take some sort of action. And then on Monday, we saw a shutdown, a direct action in the streets. On the 23rd, we saw vehicles locked down. People locked down the vehicles. People locked down to a sailboat just blocks from the Capitol. And then there was also a march there on Friday that we covered. So we've been bringing a lot of different climate coverage to you. If you go back in time, you see we've been bringing a lot of different climate justice coverage to you for years now. So this is just continuing our mission of giving you context to different social justice issues. Again, this is a multi-pronged issue. A lot of people are probably like, hey, this is just pipelines, but it's, indigenous rights, treaty rights, land defense, animals. If you care about animals, again, we're living during the 6th great extinction, everyone can just kind of say that out loud. It's like your time, I guess. The thing is memorable. And so, a lot of people are looking at the climate fight is also a fight for animals' rights, environmental rights. Again, as infrastructure is being created and all these cities have been created, again, humanity's been at it for a while, they've displaced a lot of animal life and just environment that animals are able to like flourish in. It's just slowly disappearing as we continue to like, you know, build new stuff. Anyway, so indigenous people have been trying to get folks to kind of live amongst nature, and I guess this is where we're at when you don't do that. So there you go. Again, this is Lorenzo, your host. I'm just kind of babbling as we get to this march. Again, if you do follow, last year the IPCC said that if we don't, like, you know, cut back our carbon into the atmosphere, that we had about like 10 years at its current rate. The good news, as always, is that that was like based on the rate staying the same. The rate is increasing. So like, you know, so that was like every one of these studies that comes out always gives you a number, and the new one kind of takes away and says, I guess that number was wrong, it's going to happen faster. And so that's because humanity continues to create fossil fuel infrastructure, but also as the environment, like this whole thing, you know, as the climate gets hotter, it turns out there's less ice cover on here, and so the water absorbs more heat, and it doesn't reflect as much heat, and that's happening like at a global scale as well. And the Lake Superior is pretty global, but on the ice caps as well. So as the ice is receding, there's less ice to reflect the water, so the water warms up, causes the ice to melt faster, causes everything to heat up faster. So that's like a feedback loop that's continually being created. And all those things are sort of like surprising everybody, and all the scientists have to readjust everything. It's not a lot of good news in climate. It hasn't been for forever. Basically, everyone's sort of been pointing it out for a while. Who wants to hold the flag? And now we're here today. Again, thanks for joining us. We're here in Duluth, Minnesota. We're going to follow this opposition march to the Line 3 oil pipeline here in the tar sands. I said the tar sands, but it's a tar sands pipeline. If you don't know what the tar sands are, you can go to the internet, just search tar sands. Really good imagery there. You'll see that it looks kind of like when compared to Mordor, where they kind of scrape off this tarry goo from the topsoil of the earth, hyper compress it with a lot of heat and a lot of fresh water. That water no longer fresh afterwards, no longer drinkable, and they produce a barrel of bitumen oil. That's what they're talking about. It's very, very energy intensive process. A lot of companies have actually pulled out of the tar sands recently because it costs so much money to produce, and the price of oil has continued to sort of like drop, stabilize, and so on. It's just kind of going everywhere. It used to be much more profitable. Again, when the energy explosion in the United States was going on, we talked about the fracking craze. That was when oil was about $120 dollars a barrel. That's much lower now, causing all those profits to go away, and at times almost making it just unprofitable to do. So again, people argue that if you can get the world off fossil fuels, there'll be less need to keep making these infrastructure pieces, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to try to get to the front. Thanks for bearing with me. I'm just kind of babbling. Hello, everybody. Wonderful. Oh, how's it going? You want to talk while you're here?
Sure.
Tell us why you're here.
I'm here because I care about the future, and I want to support everyone who is affected by climate change. And that's not, I'm not the person who feels the respect of the climate change. It's the people that are here that have put on this amazing event, and I'm absolutely humbled and so grateful to be here.
Thanks. You want to talk about it? Sure. Oh, right. It's like I don't want, like, not a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest reasons I'm here is because, so I'm 22, I don't want to have kids for like at least 10 years. But that was always something that I assumed I would be able to do, and right now, ethically, I don't know if I can. And I really want to, and I want to have a future that I can bring those kids into, and I want a future that all of the kids that are here can grow up in. And right now, like, I'm watching my home be inundated by wildfire smoke every summer and be unsafe to breathe in. I'm watching my home here be so cold that I can't go outside in the winter because I don't have a car. I'm watching communities across the state and across the country and around the world have their water polluted, have their water taken from them, have their land violated by pipelines and by oil companies, and have their futures taken away from them too. And like, we have a right to that. Like, that is our right. And yeah.
Thank you. All right, I think everyone's moving. Thanks for talking. All right, looks like this banner's going to take off. I was trying to grab a few interviews. If you're just joining us, we're here in Duluth, Minnesota, right next to this large body of fresh water. I think one of the largest. I don't really. Someone's probably judging me, but there it is. And we're going to be following a march who is here gathering to just oppose the Line 3 tar sands pipeline made by Enbridge. There's already a Line 3 in Minnesota. They're saying they're going to, Enbridge says it calls it a replacement. New sections of the pipeline would be like brand new. So the people are saying it's not a replacement, it's just the words they're using for it. And again, these folks are opposed. That's where we're at. I know, I'm sure you can find well, you might find some folks, usually some folks show up who are like for it, it's like people like pipelines. I guess it happens. These folks are all opposed, so we're gonna stay on that. I'm gonna try to eventually get to the front of this march. There's no guarantee I'm gonna make it there because I am not already there, so it's gonna be kind of hard. Looks like there's a lot of folks, and we're gonna be moving down this sort of aisleway here. Oh, I can get there. We're gonna move. Hello. I'm going to try to get to the front and then maybe try to get some interviews, but we'll see how it goes. Again, if you do appreciate this coverage, I know it's a little shaky. Apologize, it's just me out here right now. Oh, we also have John Z on the back end. So yeah, we do have a team working. Just I'm the only one to show up or was able to make it to this event. Again, we're a small crew. You can see this march here. Let's take a look. People chanting, what we drink is under attack, what do we do, fight back? So I'm hoping to get to the front. It's not looking likely. We'll see how it goes. This is going to be trying to get the front. See the scale of the march. Again, it's kind of along the shore here. It is along the shore, actually. Coach, we are on softball to the world as possible. You can see them. I think the march is just moving along the lake, then back up top through a few workshops. And we're going to go around. You saw us interview a few people at the stables. Let's probably go interview a few more of those people at the stables.
No line 3! No line 3! No line 3! No line 3! No line 3!
Just like I wrote them. The banners of love. Just trying to get to the front. I think I might be almost there. Yeah, just join us. We're here in Duluth, Minnesota with a gathering of people opposed to the Line 3 oil pipeline. Again, it's been a week of actions around climate worldwide. And we're back here in Minnesota where actions again to bring attention to climate change have been going on for years. At least we've been covering. Again, they've been going on before that. And I just wanted to bring you to this gathering. I'll show you the amount of folks who have at least are willing to come out and say they're in opposition to the Line 3 oil pipeline here in Minnesota, and continue to bring you on the ground here. So again, thanks for joining us. I'm Lorenzo, your host. John's in the back end there. Let's stay alive here. I think keep following this march and probably bring you some more voices of who came out here today. So thanks for joining us.
Stop Line 3! Stop Line 3! Climate justice! Now! Climate justice! Now!
Gichi-gami is the Ojibwe name of this lake.
Climate justice!
Referred to in the United States as Lake Superior.
Climate justice!
This is the Ojibwe name. Alright, it's gonna happen. Do you want to talk about this at all? You can talk about your banner if you want.
Oh, yeah, this is for Honolulu.
Can you just talk about it? I can walk in front of you.
Yeah, it's for Kava, for the Hawaii and their sacred lands.
And the occupation's been going for like 3 months?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay.
She knows more about it.
Okay. Alright, we're here in Minnesota.
it all? Let me know what's going on. I can try to do it.
Oh yeah, we're here today at the Gichi-gami gathering to stop line 3. Yeah, so we're here celebrating and resisting together today.
Now, what's it like to have a lot of people come out? I guess it's second biggest gathering, third biggest gathering I've seen around line 3. I'm not sure.
I suppose the second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's it like to have all these people come out to support the lake?
It feels good. There's hope that we can stop line 3. People power.
Yeah. Well, thank you. There's been a few mobilizations like this to bring a lot of people out to let at least the state know that there's an opposition to this pipeline. And so you can see here the size of the folks who showed up today. There's still people up there. That's kind of where the rally was taking place. Right here, and again, they're bringing attention to missing and murdered indigenous women. MIW, recently a task force was passed here in Minnesota around that issue, and bringing attention so when these pipelines are put in place, there's these giant camps made called man camps, mostly men in there, and the area around them usually experiences a whole bunch of statistically the increase of missing people goes up around man camps. So we're hearing from the speakers earlier, and people want to bring attention to that and center it. Again, if you haven't been following along, just look for murdered and missing indigenous women. There's really good research. It never matters. I'm always live, so just never. Around, I think it's the Seattle Institute of, I think it's Seattle Institute of Native American Issues, something like that. I apologize, I don't remember exactly off the top of my head. That sort of talks about the data around murdered and missing indigenous women, sort of the epidemic that's happening recently in Canada. There was a study that was released that basically said that many argued that saying that genocide was continuing against indigenous people in Canada. It was a UN sort of a statement after the study had come out. And so those issues are ongoing. People have been organizing around them. That's why you're hearing about the red dresses. You're hearing about the MIW movement. This is people bringing attention to issues that are affecting the indigenous women here in the United States and also worldwide. And in connecting this issue again to the Enbridge Line 3 oil pipeline is slated to try to go through the Minnesota. Again, there's an opposition recently. A water permit was denied. Again, that means they have to do, Enbridge has to do some work to try to get that permit. But right now it is not. So I don't know how many people are here. It's probably over 1,000 easy, I'd say. Never been good at counting folks in crowds. I like to say it every time I say a number. Again, this is Lorenzo, your host. We are walking along here with this march in opposition to Line 3, led by just bringing attention to murdered and missing indigenous women. Sort of leading the march of victims and survivors who are missing family members. We've attended a lot of events around MIW. And in Minnesota, it's like LMIW, Girls, Boys, Two-Spirit, LGBTQ youth, indigenous youth as well. So you can go back again and go through our coverage, Unicorn Ride.ninja, that's our website. The search bar, you can put MMIW and you'll probably get a bunch of different articles and events, a lot of speakers, a lot of testimonies as we continue to cover that issue. we brought a lot of voices onto our platform. I'm really thankful those people did speak to us again. This is not an easy topic. Here itself, after the march, they have some spaces set up so that people need to take some time. Again, when this does affect you, it doesn't affect you forever. There's that brewery and start chanting there's no beer without clean water. So now we're on this little rocky, again, if you don't know, this is a Lake Superior. What's going on over there? And here you have this march. Again, thanks for joining us. We're here in Duluth, Minnesota. They bring this march to basically folks and gathering. So gathering. People who are opposed to the Line 3 tar sands pipeline. Tar sands, specific type of oil, or petroleum product, I think is maybe a better term, that is being sort of mined in I think Alberta in Canada. A lot of First Nations territory being poisoned right now by that tar sands process of extraction. And I say that, you're like, whoa! But they sort of tear across the topsoil of the earth, compact it in these super epic compacting heaters for a period of time to extract oil using a large amount of water to do it. And then also create tailings ponds all over the place that have already been documented just killing swaths of migrating birds when their sort of like nets and horns fail at getting them, being like, don't land here. Turns out birds like to land on what looks like water. It's not water. Okay. So we keep going here. Going just a person. Outside enjoying the view. Anyways, just joining us. We're here just following along with this gathering of folks who want to make clear that they still oppose the Line 3 oil pipeline. Again, it's kind of the tail end of a week of actions around climate. I think it was called by Fires of the Future, which is started by Greta Thunberg. Again, folks here have been organizing around climate for generations and continue to do so. The most latest fight, one of the latest fights, again, there's a few mines that are going as well, and they're trying to be put into the ground. People are opposing. Basically, one of the latest fights to defend clean water in Minnesota is this Line 3 oil pipeline. And again, previously, one of the earlier speakers was talking about the Sandpiper pipeline. There was a previous pipeline slated to go through the area, I think it was 2015 or so, that was basically given up by Enbridge after a whole bunch of opposition. And then after that, the Line 3 replacement project is what they call it, is coming in. People here, one of the landowners here was saying that that's just the Sandpiper pipeline again, trying to put that into the ground. So, Due Dame, they're saying the same project. I think it's going to be one of the biggest oil pipelines in the country, or the biggest. I think it's a $2.9 billion project. It's a B for sure. So there's a lot of money involved. It's been in the permitting process for years. A lot of opposition in that, mostly from landowners and indigenous peoples here who are trying to defend their water and also what grows on it. You heard some of the speakers talking about that they were told to go where the water grows, or the food grows on water. Monoman, it grows on water here in Minnesota. Also, you heard in Wisconsin, the Bad River area. The harvesting of it is it's a cultural resource. It's literally a part of the culture of these people. That when that land is gone, that water is poisoned, they can no longer practice their culture. And that is what genocide is. Oh, yes. I know, sorry, I shouldn't say like that. But the definition of genocide is basically when you don't take away the resources for a culture to be able to exist. This culture is tied to the land. A lot of indigenous cultures are tied to the land. When you go in and destroy that land, they can no longer practice their culture. Huge issues around this. Also lots of reclaiming and rediscovery, and so trying to go back before all of these sort of things have happened since colonization, where people have been dislocated off their land. All right, good times. Anyways, we're here, just kind of giving you a little bit of background. It's a lot of background, really, and there's really just a whole lot of forever to talk about it. I wish we could. Right now, we're going to bring you to this march. Again, thanks for joining us. This is a Line 3 opposition march against the tar sands pipeline that Enbridge is trying to put into the ground here in Minnesota. Has already completed portions of it in Canada and Wisconsin, but the folks here have been in very, very strong opposition in the courts and also in the ground, or on the ground in the streets. So let's have the marches to continue here in Duluth, Minnesota. Right up this road that's prepped and ready for the march to get on it, looks like. So again, we'll be taking you to a lot of different types of actions. 1 second here. This is a permanent march. can see that there's a police officer leading the way. I guess I don't really know if it's permanent. I'm pretty sure it is. Sort of based on the information. Just wanted to come out and show people there's a lot of folks who are against the pipeline. This is part of that day. One second here. Oh, my God, shoelace just came undone. Did you want to talk about why you're here at all?
We're here because we have to be here. We're here because they want to pollute our mother, they want to pollute Mother Earth, and they want to destroy it. And we cannot allow that to happen. We cannot allow the destruction of this earth, because without this earth we are nothing, and they fail to remember that. They fail to acknowledge that we require the earth to live. This is our life source. The water is our life source. We cannot be apart from it, and we will not stand by and let somebody destroy that.
Thank you. You want to talk? Want to talk about why you're here at all? Or?
We're here from Madison, Wisconsin, to support our brothers and sisters in the fight against Pipeline 3.
Thank you. You want to talk?
Water is life. There is no future unless we protect this today, not tomorrow.
Climate justice! Now! Climate justice!
I'll give you a look at the amount of people who are here. I can see the amount of people who are here. We're going to keep going. This march goes the whole block now for sure. And it looks like folks are still kind of put around the corner here. I can zoom us in here. There's a lot of fake people. Definitely more than 100. Let's say there's 1,000 or more. Okay, we're going to keep moving again. If you just joined us, we're here in Duluth, Minnesota. An opposition to Line 3 gathering.
We will
walk back up, starting at the front. Again, if you're just joining us, yeah, this is Duluth, Minnesota. Climate action against the tar sands pipeline, Line 3 pipeline, oil pipeline, tar sands pipeline, bitumen, diluted bitumen. We can just keep going. It's a petroleum product created in Canada, Alberta, Canada. Tar sands, what's called by, I guess, folks. It's basically sandy, like tarry sand that has a petroleum in it. Through a process, they're able to extract oil, an oil product enough to refine it into like different sort of petroleum products. It's called bitumen, what they extract. To get it into the pipeline, it's called diluted bitumen because they have to dilute the oil product, petroleum product, in order to get it to move bitumen through those pipelines. What spills when there is a spill, which has already happened, tar sand spills, is it's not only oil but also the dilutant inside of it. It separates in the water. Usually when you see oil spills cleaned up, you do see paper towels. I mean, everyone's like, oh my gosh, there is like literally absorbent towels as part of the process in their booklets. So that's why you always see them. It's literally part of it. They just go and lay all these toallas, if you will, paper towels. But also, you see those booms they put on the water, to stop the oil from spreading, because oil is supposed to float on the water. But what happens with diluted bitumen is that when it gets into the water, it separates into all its different toxic products, because they are toxic. Benzene is one in the dilutant. A lot of the things in there also aren't released because they're considered, what's it called? When you're a corporation, it's like a corporate secret or something, So even though that they are putting this products in the pipelines going through all of our areas, and we may all experience what's in there, nurses and other groups have asked for releases of what's in there so they know how to respond to if there is something that happens. They haven't really released that because it's considered a secret, the dilutant. That also goes for fracking dilutant, what they use for the fracking fluid. Anyways, lots of information. This is too much. I'm just kind of going on tangents. But yes, the diluted bitumen comes, again, they call it tar sands. It's sand that's kind of tarry. Wow. And they scrape off the top of the earth. One of the very common mining practices, tear off the topsoil of the earth, and then kind of grab that. And you can look at the machines they use to do it. Grab it, condense it really hard, use a bunch of heat and water to extract a barrel of bitumen from it. I can't remember the water to barrel amount, but it's a massive amount of water. And a lot of those fields actually have had people pull their funding. Investment has basically left it because it's so expensive to do. But they're still trying to build these pipelines to move it, to be able to export it. Again, most oil companies are banking on this increasing use of fossil fuels, and they haven't been wrong. Again, people have been bringing attention to this issue for quite a while, and the only thing that's really happened for sure is that the use of fossil fuels has increased steadily, and the amount of carbon being produced. And it's not, we use fossil fuel infrastructure a lot. I mean, factory farming is also a huge cause of CO2 emissions. Factory farming, all those cows, they done be. Anyways, you put a lot of cows in one spot, you make a giant sort of. That's what life's like. Anyways, sorry. So again, we're gonna keep going. I'm just babbling. All right. Anyways, I should tell you this too. If you do appreciate, I guess, my babbles right now, but also the wide variety of coverage this organization has brought you, we are a 501c3 educational nonprofit. All your donations are actually tax deductible. So thanks to everyone who has donated. Let's know none of this is possible without someone giving us some sort of financial support, getting us these places. All of this that we are bringing to you is a large organization of people, but also, not large, but the organizational process we took to kind of bring this all together was a pretty big one. But everything costs a little bit of money. So thank you so much for donating. If you go to unicornriot.ninja, click support our work. You can become a patron. I think we have 99 right now. You can become the 100th one. Maybe I don't know, that's the 1%. Then this could be it. Anyways, there's 99 patrons. So thanks to all those people on Patreon. Thanks to everyone's getting us crypto too. That's sitting there, and it's everyone who's donated just dollars bills, y'all. So thank you so much. Again, go to Unicorn Riot, click support our work, become a recurring donor. You can give a little bit every month. It allows us to plan stuff into the future, and we are planning a lot of coverage coming up. I would tell you about it, but I don't know if we actually can afford it just yet. But a lot of stuff we want to do, and definitely keep bringing you to the front lines, continue to bring you to places like this. Again, I'm Lorenzo, I'm your host right now. We're just walking along, following this march that wants to bring attention to the Line 3 tar sands replacement project, is what it's called, the Enbridge tar sands replacement project. These folks do not feel it's a replacement project. It's a brand new pipeline, one of the biggest pipelines. I think I'm going to say the biggest, but I just feel like that information changes all the time. They'll be going through trying to put a bunch of tar sands, diluted bitumen, the old diluted bitumen, which is a petroleum product. It is technically not oil. It can get refined into different petroleum products like oil. You can. If I apologize. Yeah, these folks don't want that sort of pipeline just snaking through all the wild rice beds around here, lakes. Again, this, you don't know anything about Minnesota, it's called the land of 10,000 lakes. The indigenous people here have told us over and over again that those lakes are interconnected in a lot of places under the ground. So if you actually, one of these pipelines does burst, it can basically pollute a whole area since the water table is so high and all these lakes are sort of interconnected. If you want to know the Houston, Minnesota used to be all marshy. Used to be a big marshland. You can look at the Army Corps, wonder how that would happen. Just walking to a parking lot too, I apologize about that. Got to get back to the road here in a moment. And a chance that I believe that we will win. All right, so I think we're heading back to where we started. There was an earlier rally. I'm just going to go through this parking lot. I apologize. An earlier rally. You can go back in time a little bit. Check that out. Again, if you don't know where we're at, we're still in Duluth, Minnesota. This gathering to defend Lake Superior over here. I'm going to just also defend the waters here in Minnesota. You can see all these people that are kind of here. I'm in a parking lot. Sorry again. Trying to get to the front a little bit. And yeah, just bringing you here live because we just followed a lot of different climate actions. I thought it'd be great to kind of come back to Minnesota, see what people are doing here. We were just in D.C. We were just in D.C. twice. There's different actions there. We're also worried Minnesota's actions there. Also, our organization was in, there goes somebody scooting on. Our organization was in Europe as well, where we saw some direct actions to address fossil fuel infrastructure. Not a pipeline like people are trying to bring attention to here, but a coal mine, a giant coal mines in Germany. Thousands of people rushed those different points of infrastructure, shutting down coal trains and also surrounding outside of a coal power plant, and also shutting down the coal mine for a period of time. Hundreds, thousands of people taking part of a multi-day of action. In the Glendale, you can look at it on the website unicornriot.ninja. Check out that coverage. We also were in the Hambach Forest. It's giving you a bunch of acronym. The Hambach Forest, where people have been defending land from an encroaching coal mine. So it's one of the oldest growth forests in Europe. I think it's 12,000, 10,000 years old. And we were there. If you go, it's like one of those magical lands where you walked in and everything felt different. It was really incredible. You can go to our website again, check out that. Just look for the Hambach Forest. Short doc on that as well, along with the action I just mentioned. We also were just in Iceland speaking to a climate scientist. Again, not a lot of good news when you speak to the scientists, just a lot of warnings. That's what we learned there, a lot of warnings and a lot of observations. This climate change is already affecting territories in Iceland, land in Iceland. Glaciers are receding. The first glacier was just declared deceased in Iceland, and also I think in Switzerland, there's also as this ice is receding, the mountains are becoming unstable. Turns out that those glaciers are holding land in place. Anyway, so that's all going on. Short documentary about our experience there, also on our website, unicornriot.ninja. If you want to just keep going along, you can keep going back in time. You can see a lot of the different coverage we brought you to about climate justice, climate issues, land defense issues, environmental issues, clean water issues, which is like a giant issue. If you haven't experienced what it's like to not have water that you can drink off a tap, you should know it's not so good. Not a good time. And a lot of indigenous people in this country already have experienced that. A lot of them are warning us over and over again that it's not a good thing. Howdy. Yeah, so you can go back. We spent a good amount of time at the Dakota Access Pipeline fight, the resistance against the Dakota Access Pipeline. We have a documentary called Black Snake Killers, a No Dapple Story. You can go to our website, see what that campaign looked like. Not only the direct actions that took place, but also how the states organized with corporations and, the federal government to get rid of that movement. It was not only through the smashing of the truncheon, but also psychological warfare as they infiltrated different groups, created social mapping and networks to dismantle the movement by, causing divisions. It's all in the paperwork that we FOIA. You can go to our website again, unicornriot.ninja. Check out Black Snake Killers, No Dapple Story. You can see how big this march really was. It was pretty big. If you're a numbers person, you're going to feel good. Side note, I am not a numbers person. I'm going to keep moving. People chanting what they want climate justice and when they want it now. I'm going to move back to the front. Again, thanks for joining us. We're here along the shores of this beautiful lake. Whose Ojibwe name is... Gichi-gami. Or Gichi-gami. I can't recall. I'm slaughtering everything. Everyone's gonna move to the shore. Here it is. It's happening. And so this is the lake. I was saying this is a lake.
This is the lake. You never been here before?
I've been here before.
Oh, okay.
This is live too. If you want. Oh no, it's no big deal. It's better.
You said so. This is the lake, and I was like, wait. I thought you were like you never. Okay.
No, this is the lake. What is it?
So you're talking the crowd?
Yeah, the people watching.
Oh yeah, I got you. Cool.
What's the name in Ojibwe?
Gichi-gami.
Oh, Gichi-gami. Okay. All right, so that's like an Ojibwe in, I guess, United States post-colonizing. It's now Lake Superior. Because that's how you do it. You change the names. And that's why they get mad when you change them back.
So, it's really weird. There's we always named them after sacred things or animals or something site-specific or whatever, and then colonizers name it all after these horrible dudes. It's just kill everything and scorched earth shit. It's we conquered this lake and burned everything and killed all the fish. Name it after me. It makes no sense. But I guess because there's nothing else left to name it after. I don't know.
Whoa. I'm speaking to, you want to say your name at all?
Rory Wake 'em Up. Yeah.
Rory Wake 'em Up, an indigenous artist out of at least Minneapolis right now, right?
Yep, Minneapolis, St. Paul metro area.
Yeah. Check out a lot of their work. Actually, if you go back to our website, unicornriot.ninja, you can see some of their artwork. What was the art we filmed of yours? Was that?
Oh yeah, the MMIW, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women's March. I helped organize the art.
What was the Star Wars
Smart Wars. Yeah,
Smart Wars. Yeah, check it out. Unicornriot.ninja. Check out Smart Wars. It's some of this Rory Wake 'em Up's work.
Divest or die. Oh,
divest or die. Yeah, divest or die. Divest or die. Smart Wars. Check it out. I'm gonna get back in this mix. Nice to see you. Yeah, you go to unicornriot.ninja. Check out Divest or Die Smart Wars. To see a look at that work that he's been doing around different indigenous issues here in Minnesota. Again, if you do like this, please support this work. Give what you can. Unicornriot.ninja. Support our work. Sorry, I'm trying to find some place to be that makes sense. Oh, over there, where everyone's standing is where I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna start going that way. Pardon me, excuse me. Oh, it's all good. I'm just letting people know I'm coming through. Pardon me. Excuse me. Pardon me. Almost. Excuse me. Oh, no, it's all good. Everyone's so close. We don't want to hit each other. Excuse me, pardon me. Coming through. Oh, so we're fine. Yay. All right. So we got through that. Looks like I'm not getting much closer to this.
As we stand on the shore of our beautiful Lake Superior, we cannot forget our families in front of us.
If everyone can move
those that have lost,
form a semicircle. See where the
those
stuff
that
is
have
happening,
lost.
get closer to the stuff happening. There you go, yep.
All right.
All right, I'm gonna...
We cannot forget our families that have suffered loss and tragedy. Those who have lost their relatives because they were murdered. Those whose relatives are missing and they have no answers or closure. And we cannot forget those, our families, including one of our own families right here in Duluth, who suffered a violent crime last night and is laying in the hospital, needing our love and our prayers. So for now, I ask our drummers to give us a song, and then we dance around these families. And as you dance, pray for their loved ones. Pray for the healing that's needed and the answers. And pray that they gain strength from our love and support. Miigwech.
I was just asked not to film, so I'm going to walk away. The old walk away here. So this is a ceremony going on. I was asked not to film, so I'm going ahead and go back up here to these tables that I think are up here and continue these conversations. Learn more about what's going on. Alright, give me 1 second here. Again, so so there's gonna be, it looks like there's gonna be a ceremony for people who have experienced missing and murdered indigenous, the missing and murdered indigenous issue, ongoing human problem, social problem. Well, everyone is filming from afar. So they keep going here. Hardy Express. So I was just asked to not film the ceremony going on, so I moved away. But that's where everyone's at. So I don't know what to tell you. You can see everyone down there. I guess I'm going to move into, this is where we first started, so we're kind of like over here when we first got here. I think there's like those flags flying. We had a rally there, talking about the different like indigenous local folks, indigenous youth, also youth from the climate strike, and landowners from Minnesota, so and lawyers. Kind of speak about the ongoing issues around Line 3 here in Minnesota and their opposition to it. And then they marched down this little alleyway, back here to do a round dance. Right now there's a round dance around different family members here who are missing people.
You
Well, yeah, you want to talk? Tell us about the food. Oh, they just told me it's good. I was trying to get some more info on the food. Just heard it was good. You can see here's the food area. I gotta have a meal afterwards. This was also just created by different people who are attending. You can see this. What's that?
We just spot over here looking over everybody.
Oh, they told me not to film it, so I left. Yeah, so like no more filming, and I think I'm the only one that heard the memo, but that's fine. I don't mind. Anyway, so like this was created by folks, different. I think an artist, local artist, was sort of like helping people make this collaborative piece of art. You can see these signs laying around pretty clear where everyone's standing. Green New Deal, or maybe not, since nobody picked those up, but there's a bunch of Green New Deal ones here. Some of the youth also spoke to wanting a Green New Deal. Like I said, I was going to come up here and speak to people at tables, and that's what I'm going to do, so I'm going to move this way. If you don't know where we're at, this is it, the Boo Zoo. Welcome to the Gichi-gami gathering, the stop line 3. Again, that is the Ojibwe name for this lake, which other folks call Lake Superior. Do you want to talk about any of this stuff? This is it.
Over there.
Ooh.
Come on, you right. Did you print these? Are those for sale? No.
Doesn't look like it. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah,
Is this
what I gotta talk about?
I don't know. I don't know what this is. What is it? What's this?
Okay, we sell stuff for on the earth. And these are kind of like stuff where you can like beat them on like a jacket or something. Anything.
Okay. And what does it say?
Stop line 3.
All right. And what else is going on here? We got one of these. We got DVDs.
Yep. Movies that have Winona LaDuke and all that. We have things you can sign right here.
What's the other side of these say?
What?
This one. What's this say on the other side?
It just says Landowner that way.
All right.
He's asking what are they saying on the postcard?
Yeah, what does the postcard say? Can you read the other side?
It says,
All right.
the citizens of the Twin, Mr. Shade, the citizens of the Twin Port do not consent to live in mortal danger simply because hydrogen fluoride is more convenient for your industry. The safety for our communities that live in the shadow of your facility outweighs Husky's desire to see the refinery operational. Our safety and the lives of our refinery workers and emergency response personnel need to be your first priority. There are safer alternatives available globally. Limited the search for replacements to hydrogen fluoride to inside our national borders would devalue our lives and downplay the scale of our risk.
All right, cool. Thank you. All right, thanks for telling me about what's on the table. I'm going to keep going. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
We sell.
Oh, there's more. There's more. There's more.
We sell merchandise for Honor the Earth, which is like stuff to keep our water sacred. We also sell shirts that are made out of hemp.
Oh yeah, hemp shirts.
Bags that are hemp right here.
All right. Well, thank you for showing me. Good luck in the rest of your day.
Yep.
All right. Bye. On the postcard, they're talking about the Husky refinery, which I think is like that way, in Wisconsin, across that way, on the other side of this, which isn't helpful at all. But there was a large fire there and a release of chemicals across this area, and that's what that postcard's referring to, saying that people deserve to not have to experience that. People are cheering. I'm gonna go back that way. I assume I could probably film by now. I'm gonna try to film down. So I'm going to probably do a little walkthrough, and then I'm probably going to take this stream down. Everyone's going to eat. And I think there'll probably be a closing ceremony. I probably won't be able to film it because it's a ceremony. So let's bring us back over here really quick. Let's see 1 second here. So this is the folks gathering down there along the lake.
How many unicorns does it take to make a riot?
I don't know. I haven't figured it out. I think unicorns usually are dancing a lot, which some people think is a riot. It is dancing. Just dancing. What's that?
Well, I saw a coffee mug yesterday with a picture of a unicorn saying, "Do unicorns dream of stabbing people with their heads?"
Oh. I don't know. So this is a big scroll that says, "We pledge to resist line 3," and a lot of people have signed it.
Pledge of resistance.
A pledge of resistance. Let me bring it back over here, and then I think everyone's down by the lake. Oh, here they are. Everyone's it's a whole lot of ceremony going on, so we're gonna keep on keeping on over here. I can take a look at my phone, or if the studio wants to let me know if anyone's asking any questions or anything. That would be great. Oh wait, hold on a second. So 1 second, just bear with me again. I'm alone, so I'm kind of on I have like 3 things in my hands at all times. I can just try to show that. You see everyone down there moving towards the shore. Can't really tell what's going on, which is okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, you can film this. They're taking a picture. Folks are going to take a picture. Again, we are here at this Opposition Line 3 gathering. We're going to try to move someplace to get the good photo. You see a lot of people who have gathered here in opposition to Line 3. I'm just going to move really quick, get a different vantage. Again, thanks for joining us. I'm just going to move to a different spot, see what it looks like over here. I'm gonna go back down there, I guess.
It's more trouble if we try.
Remember and honor Chief Buffalo. They showed that leadership to Mary Gillian, who's going to meet right here. Yeah, she's a local artist from Panama.
It looks like they're just doing announcements right now. I'm gonna move.
So she's seen our state and she's seen Chief Buffalo. She said, that's it. We're going to honor Chief Buffalo. And through a grant, she was able to start telling the story of Chief Buffalo. And I just want to add before she speaks, we did not use Google at all. We're going right to the descendants of Chief Buffalo. That's the way to do things. Just talk right to them, right in his office. Before we started, we blessed Mary on this journey of being the leader in on the many canvases up there. And depicting the story of Chief Buffalo, and there'll be other things. Eventually people will walk through our park and know a lot about us and a lot about Chief Buffalo. And it's a community project. And so I want to introduce you to our artist, Mary Gilliard, who is taking that on and is our leader in that project. We're very proud of her. And this is Mary.
So yeah, it looks like they're doing some education about Chief Buffalo here.
But I can tell you a little bit about the project.
I'm going to go back up. I think I'm going to take the stream down, so we're going to get ready to do that. Pardon me.
Sorry.
Excuse me. Okay. So I'm going to bring us back up to the top here. I'll let they finish their announcements. Again, this is the Gichi-gami gathering, the stop line 3 here. Kind of a wide variety of organizations came together here in Minnesota, Duluth, Minnesota. This is Lake Superior, Gichi-gami, in Ojibwe. Look at that. You got these folks here gathered here who are all opposed to the Line 3 oil pipeline project. Want to come together and let folks know that. So they did. And we've been live here now for a few hours showing you that. I am going to take this down, though, so I want to say a huge thank you. I'm going to go back. Well, I just do it here. All right. So again, this is Lorenzo, your host. So we got here as a rally was going on with different landowners and indigenous youth. And different people, local people who are being affected by this pipeline, the Line 3 oil pipeline. They rallied, everyone sort of spoke to why, including youth leaders who were of the climate strike, who were also part of that rally. But then it marched down this little boardwalk back to here where, and they centered the people who are affected by missing and murdered indigenous women, people whose family members are missing or have been murdered, led the march. It's really tough, but that is just the truth of the matter. Then they came down to the shore here and centered them, did a round dance around them, and then said they wanted to stop Line 3. Line 3 being connected to missing and murdered indigenous women because of man camps that are set up along the pipeline route, where it's all these out-of-state, predominantly men, who are housed along there, and many atrocities have been reported from those areas, including an increase of missing and murdered indigenous women around areas with man camps. Data you can go to. You can look for MMIW studies. They're now coming out. Again, this was an issue that was not studied at all, was not followed at all, and there was no data about it. Indigenous people have taken to the forefront of it, along as the forefront of climate justice, climate change, indigenous rights, treaty rights, land rights, animal rights. Just trying to bring about a shift in how communities, societies interact with nature. Yeah, so they're at the forefront of that. And we wanted to bring you back here to this event because we kind of just traveled around looking at a lot of climate justice stuff. So we're back here in Minnesota. They're still fighting against the Line 3 oil pipeline project, tar sands project. This is going to be an ongoing resistance. Recently, a permit was denied for Line 3, a water crossing permit. They're going to try to get that permit eventually, and people are going to continue to oppose it. Folks here wanted to come out on this show that they're going to continue to oppose it, regardless if there's all the permits are in or not. Enbridge's timeline of completion is late 2020. They completed the Canadian part and the Wisconsin area, which the Wisconsin area I think was like a mile long, not very long, but also that Wisconsin area had lockdowns on it. So once construction started, people locked down to it. Here in the United States, not sure exactly how it went down in Canada, although I do know there was a pipeline encampment monitoring the construction there. Anyways, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who joined us today. Just wanted to bring you here to Duluth, Minnesota, to this gathering of people who are opposing the Line 3 tar sands project. These folks are in solidarity with the youth climate strike that just happened over this last week. We were in D.C. As you know, the day that millions of youth all over the world took to the streets. Here we heard youth say that this is an issue that's going to affect them, and that this has to happen now. There's no more time to really talk about it. And then we heard them say that scientists have predicted that we have about 10 years left to mitigate the worst effects of climate change, accelerated climate change, human-caused climate change. Again, people always point out that climate is always changing, but the rate it is changing now is accelerating faster than what animals can adapt to, hence why we're entering into this giant extinction phase of our existence called the sixth great extinction. Recently, a study coming out, too, that I think it was billions or millions of birds have gone away since 1950. Again, you could argue that is pollution, but also just herbicides, insecticides, pesticides. All the things we're putting into the environment affect everything else. Indigenous people have been trying to point this out for a while. Again, every action you take should consider the next 7 generations. That is a different way of looking at the world compared to what we currently have right now. Again, I'm Lorenzo, your host. We're going to keep bringing you out here to different actions and different sort of just marches, panels around different issues. Again, we are trying to provide more context to just different social issues. This is climate justice, indigenous rights, treaty rights, land rights, water rights, just animal, everything kind of wrapped up. Again, we've been following this for years, along with different other things. So I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has donated. Again, we are a not-for-profit media organization. This is all not commercialized. The only way that we fund this is by people donating us money. So thank you so much to everyone who's given us money. Check out our Patreon. I think we were at 99. I'm not sure if we got to 100 yet. Go to Unicorn Riot, click support our work. There's a search bar in there. You can go there, unicornriot.ninja, put Line 3 in there. Also, if you're on our post about this day, you can see there's a bunch of different posts that we talk about. Basically, Manuman, the wild rice that's under threat, is a cultural resource of the Anishinaabe people who are going to defend that because it's like their whole cultural identity is wrapped up in there. But okay, thank you so much again for joining us. I'm Lorenzo, your host. John was on the back end there. Thanks for all your support. Keep following unicornriot.ninja. Make sure to click like, follow, subscribe, get alerted. Again, we don't pay for any commercials. We just keep bringing this content to you. So thanks again for joining us. This is Lorenzo, and I'm out.